Hey stranger, I'm Lars and this is my land. In my land I get to do pretty much whatever I want. It's kind of the deal. And today I'm gonna just have a goofy fun time talking about Ringo, the album, not the dude, because it was some collaborative magic and it's the only solo album with all 4 Beatles on it, so it's noteworthy to say the least. It was truly an album for the boys, and you're gonna listen because it's my land. Here's the deal. This is a Ringo video. Ringo videos, not very popular. Because of that, I just figured might as well just go all out, just do the whole thing. Goofball out. And if you stick through this one, then you're like a real one. And you can like watch this one and you'll be like, oh, I was a real one for sticking through the Ringo video. With all that being said, welcome to Annoying Memos Land. Beepity beep beepity beep beep. If you're new here, I clearly talk mostly about the Beatles, but I'm also interested in TV and movies, which I'll get around to, but been kind of busy working on a video essay series on the TV show Lost, which if I don't mention in every video I do, I will wind up, and not because Titanic is on my mind for any current event or cultural reasons, I'll get handcuffed to a pipe in a sinking ship. An unsinkable ship. While you're here, you might as well like and subscribe and all of that jazz. Sincerely, it does help a whole lot, and I'm trying to get to 1,000. Help me get to 1,000. Please. I'm not sure how much you can see the screen back here, but if you can, it is most certainly crooked. Subscribe. Let's go back to my land. See, you are the real deal. You stuck it out through a whole costume change. That's dedication. I want to mention or explain how my album reviews go, because I think it's important to note that I am not a musician, not a music critic. The only thing I really know about music is how it makes me feel. So when I do these, I look into the history of the album, what happened when they were recording, who was involved in the recording, any sort of interesting anecdotes, any sort of like corrections or myths or anything that strikes my little fancy is what gets in the video. After that, I play bits from the album. I talk about what I like, what I dislike, which is usually very little. I react to things, and then I almost always wind up saying that the album was amazing beyond infinity, and then I chastise you, my loyal passport holders, whatever the hell, reliable fans, ew, for not listening to it as much as I, a stranger with no musical experience, thinks you should. So, doesn't that sound fun? Let's do that. Technically, the album recording started way before the album. The album actually started with the song Photograph, the one that everybody knows. It's like Ringo's most played song. It's a real earworm, and it was actually kind of a group effort. While Ringo, Mo, George, Patty, and Cilla Black were on a sailboat holiday, George and Ringo, and kind of with the others sort of pitching in, played Photograph. They also wrote, Step Lightly, yeah. And that was in May of 1971, and then in late 1972, Ringo actually recorded the song for the first time, and it was produced by George when he was working on Living in the Material World, his album, which will be my next album review video. Hey, which might be the next video, but I think I might have something else in between those. Here's the deal. Let's talk about Ringo's albums. So 1970, Ringo puts out his first album, Sentimental Journey. It is all pre-rock and roll classics, things that he connected with from his Liverpudlian childhood. So 5 months later, he puts out Buku of Blues, or Bukus of Blues, depending on how American I am and how wrong I am. That's all blues classics and country classics, which for the most part flopped in the UK, but actually did all right in the US. And it was recorded in Nashville. So Ringo does these 2 albums that are not his music. They're just music, because Ringo doesn't really write music. 2 albums in 1970, takes a little bit of a break, and in 1973 he decides, okay, it's time. It is time. So he calls up the boys. He calls up the lads, and he's like, I want to do a rock album. And they're like, excellent! This lineup is incredible. Okay, listen to this. So we've got all 4 Beatles, right? And we've got Mark Bolan, 4 members of the band except Richard Manuel, Billy Preston, Klaus Voormann, Nicky Hopkins, Harry Nilsson, Jim Keltner, and James Booker. So it's like booked. But before we get into the specifics of the recordings, we need to talk about a particular group of 4, John, Klaus, George, and Ringo. or the group that the press decided to call the Ladders. This was this rumor that those four were going to form the new Beatles, or there was going to be a Beatles reunion and Klaus was going to replace Paul. There was a lot of speculation, especially surrounding this album. The fact that they were all recording together was essentially creating mass hysteria in the press because there were so many rumors of a reunion. Alan Klein at this point asked or suggested that they invite Paul to this recording session to maybe sort of like ease any sort of ongoing lawsuits or make him look less credible, but that didn't happen. I do not know if they invited him or not. I just know that it didn't happen. I'm the Greatest was written by John. He got the title from Muhammad Ali, I'm the Greatest, and he decided that Ringo had to sing it because if he took I'm the Greatest, then people would take it so seriously and people would get upset about it. So he's like, we're gonna have Ringo do it, it'll be fun, and he kind of just shifted up the lyrics. So they started recording on March 5th, 1973. The producer, Richard Perry, actually said something like this: just like that, no planning. The three ex-Beatles recorded one of John's songs. Everyone in the room was just gleaming. It's such a universal gleam with the Beatles. They recorded all these songs, and then Ringo and Richard hopped on a plane and they went over to the UK. They recorded a couple songs, 6 o'clock, Year 16, and Step Lightly with Harry Nilsson, and Paul is on 6 o'clock and he is imitating a kazoo on Year 16. And the album actually did pretty well. It was #1 in Canada, #7 in the UK, and #2 in the US. So it did some good numbers, okay? The album was critically well received and it was described as an instant knockout, sensational. I'm going to just read from Ben Gerson's Rolling Stones review. He said that Ringo's limited artistry and all of the guests made it rambling and inconsistent, yet in terms of atmosphere, Ringo is the most successful ex-Beatle album. He says that it is not polemical and abrasive like Lennon's, harsh and self-pitying like Harrison's, or precious and flimsy like McCartney's, but balanced and airy and amiable. And you know what? That is a hell of a sentence. That describes a lot of criticism toward their solo work that I think does fit. So there was a 1991 reissue of this album, and that included Down and Out as track 4, and then included It Don't Come Easy in early 1970 at the end of the album. Early 1970 is interesting because it was recorded in 1970. It was released as a single in 1971, or as a B-side on a single in 1971. The first time I heard this album, it was the 1991 release, so that's the way that I'm going to review it because that's the way that it like impacted me the first time. As far as early 1970, John was involved in the song, but there's conflicting information on how much he was involved or when he was involved or what he was doing. So just some little tidbits. Photograph came out as a single on September 24th, 1973, and there was a video promo, so like a music video of Photograph, but it was never like re-released and it has now been lost to time. Nobody knows where it is. Cool. So apparently the album's release was actually delayed because of the artwork. The artwork has 26 portraits in it and the rest of the people are just made up. The Latin motto at the top is "Do it on Monday," and it was Harry Nilsson's idea. I'm the greatest. Here, pull this back up here. When I was a little boy. Oh, I should mention that I only play 3 to 7 seconds of Beatles music. I've explained that in the description. I'm sorry, I dislike it probably more than you do. Love this song so much. This song is so fun. You can hear the different influences of the other Beatles for sure in the songs that they're on. You can really, 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 really hear John in this one. Like, when I was a teenager. Not just because his vocals are on there. This is so groovy. So listen to this. John is on the piano and George is doing electric guitar and slide guitar. Billy Preston is on the organ and electric piano, and Klaus is on bass. It sounds really good. This sounds really, really good. This sounds very Beatlesy to me. I can tell that it's not a Beatles song, but it definitely gives Beatles vibes for me. That riff is very Beatlesy to me. I want it to be noted that I'm 32 and all I want to do is boogaloo. That is true. I didn't mean to rhyme that bit, but I'm good with it. That was an accident. That was an accident. I swear. Oh, hang on. I'm coming. Okay, we've got a kitty in here, but he's the one who doesn't care. Well, you know, speaking of him, you've heard of Dog Ate the Homework. Have you heard of Cat Ate the Out-of-Print book? You're a dick. I'm not gonna lie, I like the song, but once this part happens, this is where you lose me. I love, love, love Sgt. Pepper. I haven't done an album review on it yet. I don't even want to think about what kind of undertaking that'll be. This is when they lose me for a bit on this song. Yeah, I get that. Maybe I don't like the crowd sounds, or I don't like I don't know. Love the electric guitar. It sounds great. It's also, by the way, this I'm the Greatest thing is based off of Muhammad Ali, but also after the Get Back sessions, Paul sent Ringo a postcard that said, "Ringo, you are the greatest drummer in the world, really." And it is very well known. So that was also kind of a motivating factor for it. I don't know if John ever said that or not, if he was doing it to make fun of Paul, which is definitely possible. You know, that dynamic was so complicated at that point. Prince, do you want out? Already? Just gonna eat and leave, use me like that? But you can quickly gang me back with this. It's not that hard. This part. Have You Seen My Baby? And this is written by Randy Newman. What? What are you screaming about? Okie dokie. I couldn't find very much information on this song or its recording or who's playing what even. I'm not gonna lie, this song is fun, but otherwise unremarkable. I'm sorry, I get to say it because of how much I love this man, but fun song, otherwise unremarkable. Photograph, which is remarkable because everybody f***ing knows it. Like everybody in the world. Okay, listen to this. Oh, yeah, real quick. Photograph was written by Ringo and George, like I mentioned, on Vacation. On the Wikipedia page, it says that Photograph is produced by Mark Hudson on the song's Wikipedia page. On the Ringo album Wikipedia page and everywhere else I looked, I couldn't find Mark Hudson anywhere. So I don't know where the hell that came from. Am I going crazy? Somebody who knows stuff, tell me. There's people down there that know people. In my comment section, people down there that know people. Okay, let's jam. By the way, I'm so sorry because this is gonna be stuck in your head for like the next couple weeks and you know it. Okay. This was one of those songs I didn't know was a Beatle until later on. I was like, oh yeah, I know that makes sense that it's Ringo, but I had no idea. This was really interesting. So you listen to it, you're thinking, wow, that sounds like Phil Spector. Like, hang on. But Jack Nietzsche made this, and he made this kind of a Phil Spector sound, which was really popular there. I kind of get this weird, like, almost Beach Boy vibe as well, included with, does anybody else feel it? Am I pulling that out of my ass? Probably. I like this song. I like the vocals. I think that the backing vocals are good. Is that George? I don't think it is. Hang on now. Let me take a look. Backing vocals. Yeah, that is. It's two drums. Ringo's on drums. Jim Keltner on drums. And Lon and Derek Van Eaton, or Von Eaton, either one, on percussion. We've got tenor sax. George is on a 12-string acoustic guitar. Nicky Hopkins on piano. Klaus is on bass. Jimmy Calvert on acoustic. There's a lot going on here. I mean, it sounds great. Like, there's a reason why it took off so well. Down and Out. And this was a B-side and was not included, so this is the 1991 release. I love these kinds of songs. I can't help but listen to it and think of where the harmonies should be. And when I listen to this, I just think it's a Beatles song missing the Beatles. Like, down, down, down and out, or something like that. Like, it's not there though. Piano is so good though. Come on, tell me that you're not thinking of any early Beatles album right now. I mean, it's like not particularly noteworthy, but it is very fun. Like, I wouldn't skip it. It's not a skip for me. Sunshine Life for me. I love this song. I gotta tell you, this is my favorite song on the album. Beautiful harmonies. The boys sound great. It's like very sea shanty-ish. The lyrics, it's a sunshine life for me. Wish that I could just get away from this cloud over me. It seems to just follow me around. Very relatable. It's like, I wish I could just get away from this. Ooh, yeah, Klaus is on stand-up bass in this. Pretty cool, right? I'm gonna have to listen for it now. Do you ever just get emotional about their breakup? Just listening to them singing together. It's stupid. It's so stupid. It's so stupid to cry over this. Jesus, I was not expecting that. I was like expecting to like sob over the Let It Be video because that's like my favorite album, and I did not. Definitely didn't expect to get any sort of tears out of this one. Jesus. I do cry really easily. I'm easily emotional. George was inspired when he was writing this. He was on vacation, and when I listened to it, I'm like so emotional right now. When I listen to it, I think of messaging from Paul, because Paul has this farm in Scotland, and we see all these photos of him and his family out there with all these rams and animals. And there's just only the two of them on the album. Shit. We will not back down. We will not surrender. We're just gonna make sure that the mascara isn't all over the face. Yeah, no, I really didn't expect that. I am an emotional little bitch. I am like a baby back bitch for sure. You know, sometimes I just get smacked in the face with it, you know? But you could hear where John's voice would go in there, right? You could hear where even Paul's voice would go up top. Everybody's like, oh, I cry to A Day in the Life. I cry to Eleanor Rigby or Fool on the Hill. And I'm like, I cry. I cry to 8 days a week. I like this song a lot, despite the tears. Like, I very much enjoyed this song. Oh yeah, I forgot about that at the end there. Okay, what's next? My eyes are not quite as bad as John's, but they're bad. You're 16. Okay, so You're 16, and this is written by Richard and Robert Sherman. You're 16, you're beautiful in your mind. And you hear the sound that sounds like a kazoo, and that is not kazoo, that is Paul. Paul Zoo. You're 16, you're beautiful in your mind. Star's version remains one of the only few #1 singles to feature a kazoo sound solo. See, these backing vocals, this is what I was like expecting in Down and Out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was expecting something, a do wop wop. It fits here too. It's good here. It's not bad here, obviously. Remember, that's Paul. This is a bop. It's very fun. It's, you know, obviously this is a cover, but it's very fun. Oh My My. And this is written by Ringo and Vinnie Poncia, or Poncia, something like that, or Poncha. This song is fine. Like, it's fun. Other than what we just heard, that slowdown, there's like literally nothing remarkable about it up until now. And it certainly is a skip for me. Step Lightly, which is also written by Ringo. This was also on that South of France sailing trip, and Cilla Black wanted it, but he said, no, it's decent, so I want it for myself. Johnny Cash, hardcore, right? I love Johnny Cash. Is this not like super Johnny Cash feels for you? I like this a lot more than the last two. Let me see. Ringo Starr, Johnny Cash. Oh, so they met Johnny Cash at the Candlestick Park last ever concert. I just get a real Johnny Cash vibe on this song. And I've listened to this tons of times, honestly, and I just never really felt it as much as I do right now. How did I not? Bum ba bum bum ba bum bum ba bum. honestly, this is enough to keep me happy. You know, there's this point in Get Back where George says in the documentary, it sounds like the same old shit. And John says, well, I don't mind the same old shit as long as it's clear. I'm happy enough with this. I like this a lot more than Oh My, and even You're 16, you know, and I'm not saying that you have to make me cry like Sunshine or anything, but it does, I like it, you know, I'm trying to explain how I feel. I don't know. Hopefully quoting George and John helped. Yeah. This too, of course. I forgot to mention, this is Ringo tap dancing. I think this is interesting. You know, the arrangement. I don't know who did, there's no credits on Step Lightly, so I don't know, but whoever did the arrangement, I really like it. It's an interesting choice. It doesn't sound too granny-ish for Paul detractors, if you will. It has a little bit of that, though. 6 o'clock, and this is written by Paul and Linda McCartney. 6 o'clock in the morning, you've just gone to sleep. Oh, I guess the way that Paul was like he was a little bashful about wanting to get on this album. And I think Ringo wound up asking him, like saying, you don't want to be left out, do you? And so Paul was like, of course not. So this is what's interesting. Okay, I pulled this. During this time when they were recording together, Ringo and Paul, they were recording in the middle of March, 1973. Paul was out. Reporters asked him about it, and he said that he saw no real reason that the Beatles couldn't get together once they removed Alan Klein, which they did on March 31st. You know, just a couple weeks later. Of course, that never happened. Well, first off, the song is beautiful. It really is. Ringo, once again, vocally sounds great. I really like this. It's a Paul song, so it's beautifully written. Paul is a great songwriter. Fight me in the comments if you want. I mean, you're wrong. I don't know, you know, so is John, so is George. They're all amazing songwriters. This is a great song. I will say that Ben Gerson, whose review I read earlier from the Rolling Stone, he said that 6 o'clock has a certain slight charm, but he also said that there was a lack of collaborative feeling in comparison to the contributions from George and John. He also said that Ringo was merely grafted onto a typical McCartney confection, which I can see that. I see what you mean by grafted, what he means by grafted, whatever. But I think Ringo's voice brings a certain very haunting quality to this song that Paul's voice would not be able to do. No, I don't treat you like Paul wrote that. See, they knew me so well. They would write songs they felt I could get away with, is what Ringo said about this song in 2001. Okay, so Paul's playing a synthesizer, backing vocal, flute, and string arrangements. Holy shit. Oh, so he wrote the string arrangements. I need to go to like dumbass school for music. That I like a lot. That is so Beatlesy. That sounds good. It makes me sad. That synthesizer is really cool, but I do want to stop and say that grafted thing that he mentioned. I will always notice Ringo's drumming. It's very distinctive. I can usually tell if it's Ringo, if it's not now. This doesn't even sound like Ringo. And I know that Ringo played this, but listen to it. I don't know if the synthesizer like takes it away or something. Yeah, but the U, that would sound better with George in it. I'm starting to wonder if I'm ever going to be able to listen to any of their solo stuff without wondering how it would sound without all four of them in it. I never felt that way so much as I do right now, though. Devil Woman. Honestly, this is a real rock song. I forgot about that line. The only way I'll get you is to get you in bed. Damn. This is like a real, this goes hard. I forget how like shreddy this song is. No information on this credit-wise or who played what. That gives me vibes, like Typo Negative type vibes for sure. I could do without the horns for this one. I could do with this stripped down in just a rock song. I'm not huge on all the extra production. I really like it otherwise. That is a big downgrade for this song specifically for me. That takes it from an A to a B. Like, this could be so much better. Okay, so You and Me, Babe. And this was written by George and Mal. Mal went to George and said, hey, I've been working on this song, because Mal actually helped with lyrics and songs sometimes. And he said, like, hey, can you help me put music to it? And so they wrote it, and then they gave it to Ringo. This is Nicky Hopkins on the electric piano, but I could have sworn that was Billy. I think it's really fun. I can't remember if there's anything particularly noteworthy, so we're gonna have to re-listen to it. Yeah, on the contrary, I really like the production here. I like the strings. Even though this is kind of like a boppity tune, this kind of more serious or like sappy, sentimental strings sound really good here. On my notes, I was like, this sounds so much like George. Why does it say this person? And I was just looking at Nicky Hopkins for electric piano and not George for electric guitar. So yes, of course that's George. George is just as distinctive as Ringo on that guitar. I swear. I mean, it is like, you can tell it's him. You can always tell it's him. I like how he plays everybody off and has this big group and he thanks everybody. This is before the 1991 release, so this is how the album originally ended, right? And this kind of starts this, what's the word? Oh my God. This pattern of Ringo having like all of his buddies on his album, and therefore Ringo Starr in the All-Stars band, like he just brings up a bunch of his music buds and it's like, this one's for the boys. Good night, your friend and mine. Ringo Starr. Your friend and mine, Ringo Starr. And now we've got It Don't Come Easy, which was also written by Ringo. But I think this had a lot of help from George. I really like this song. It's so that kind of simple. It's well produced. It sounds good. Very happy with this song. Mal actually played tambourine on this song. Hey, people who have like cute noses when you crinkle, what's it like? What's it like having a life where you don't have to feel like this? That's Mal! And finally, Early 1970, which is one of my favorite songs by Ringo. Definitely because of the message, but then it grew on me, you know? If you don't know, Early 1970 is about the other Beatles and Ringo wanting to have a relationship with them. And it breaks my heart and I love it. It's one of my favorite songs by him because of the message and therefore I love it. And also it's just really cute. When he comes to town, I wonder if he'll play with me. And him saying, I wonder if he'll play with me. I wonder if Paul will play with me is kind of alluding to the fact that Paul and Ringo didn't have the best relationship at this point, because when Ringo, it's long story, we're not going to get into it right now, but they didn't. But they were reconciling, but Ringo was still trying to figure out, like, I want to play with you, let's figure it out. And things were just still a little shaky. I know he's gonna play with me. And so of course with John, he knows that John's gonna play with him when he comes to town, and he can joke about it because John was involved in making the song. And then of course George was playing on this song. Long-legged in the garden. If you didn't know this, Patty is like a crazy awesome vegetarian cook. So him saying like, with his long-legged lady cook in the garden picking daisies for her soup, like she's actually out there doing that shit. It makes me so happy to hear this, you know? A-D-E. And when I go to town, I want to see all three. The reason why that makes me so fucking sad is because at this point, I think all of them wanted to feel that way. They wanted to want to be around each other. They were all hurting so badly. But it makes me glad that he wanted to see all three of them. And I remember getting like some, like having some consolation knowing that this song existed when I was just first learning about the Beatles. Like, oh my God, at least they had good relationships with each other. Jesus Christ. Like, at least they did, you know? Here's the part of the video where I tell you guys, this album rocks. No, seriously. You haven't listened to it in a while. I know you haven't, because when was the last time you listened to a Ringo solo album? Be honest. I really, really, really like this album. Go listen to it because it's a travesty that you haven't listened to it recently. This is my time to chastise you. I know that this turned into some low energy dumb fuckery, but I just appreciate y'all for hanging out with me while I did this, and I thank you proactively for going and listening to Ringo. And why don't you comment below and let me know what you think? And if you guys hit me up in the comments, I might hit you back in the first day or two, and after that I'm like, I'm out. I would absolutely love it if you guys would like and subscribe and all of that jazz. I love y'all so much, and y'all come back now, you hear? Bye.
My sweet Lord, my Lord, my Lord, but it takes so long, my Lord, my sweet Lord.